What's going on, everybody? Welcome to 20 Minute Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Mick Manhattan, the Scene Snob from thescenesnobs.com. So before we get started, just if you'll do me a favor and go right down to that like and subscribe button and hit them. And then also make sure you hit the little bell, the notifications button, because we have brand new content every day. Podcast, videos, the whole 9 yards. So go check it out. We have more coming, and I hope you enjoy. So with that being said, it has been a pretty crazy week. It's started one place and gone to a completely different in the world of wrestling by the end of it. And I am not panicked. I'm not trying to stir up panic or cause any fears or anything like that. I know it's trying times with COVID-19, the coronavirus out there with an outbreak. I just want to say my piece on that. So anything I say, it is not to incite any type of fear or anything like that. So my biggest thing especially in the world of wrestling, things are changing. Like, I know the family and I, the Snob family and I, are all not quarantining or anything like that, but we're trying to help by advice of the CDC and World Health Organization and other medical officials in the news and such today. We are taking ourselves out of play from potentially getting and spreading anything that could affect. I know my wife's sister has just had, she's susceptible to it with some medical issues she's had. My parents, her parents, everything else. They are of the age bracket that, they say to stay away from. So that's what we're trying to do. And that's what we're trying to push for too. And we know it's trying times for businesses, things like that. We love to help small businesses here. We're big support. Right here in Winchester, Virginia, there are a ton of small businesses that we work with and that we love and we shop at, and that are taking the precautions and are closing down for a week just to kind of reassess and see where we're at the end of the week, because that's how quickly things change here. And, this does pertain to wrestling. I just want to get this out of the way. I know I want to show some support to the Hideaway Cafe, which is closing down for the week. It's a fantastic coffee shop, has really good food, and just a cool, chill vibe to go and hang out. So when they open back up, if you're in the area, go check them out, the Hideaway Cafe. Support them. They're doing the right thing by closing down, not just to do a cleaning, but to make sure that the spread isn't out there, because that's a lot of people that could come in. And you got to respect that. And I also respect people who have to stay open in these times and things like that, or go to work. And we should support them too by staying back if we can, and taking our time, and again, removing the chance of the spread of the virus. And that's where it's at. It's just taking precautions, not a panic, precautions. And that is a big thing. And I have to commend, and then let's get into the wrestling portion of this. I have to commend the WWE on a few things, and it's mostly the performers, really, and the higher ups that decided to move SmackDown, last week's episode of SmackDown, to the Performance Center. There were no fans. The chairs were completely empty, and those performers came out, and they still did their best to give a fantastic show. I do not blame the performers in any. Well, it's not blame, but I do not hold anything against the performers in any way or anything like that with the whole WrestleMania thing going on. These guys and girls just want to go out there and they want to work, they want to do their jobs, and they want to entertain. And that's what they did. And they did it from a safe environment. And although I will say it was pretty funky watching it that way with no fans, because I don't think I ever realized how important the fans are in those arenas and such. Those chants, the boos, the yays, the nays, the whole 9 yards, all the way down. With it so quiet, promos were pretty rough, to keep following along with and stuff like that. And it was hard on them, but they were adapting. I kind of wish that they took it and did it like Mean Gene back in the day, and like maybe in the back locker room they ran the promos and stuff like that, rather than come out to the ring and do it. And they did the wrestling matches, maybe even pre-taped some of the shows, so that way they weren't taking breaks during commercial, because you kind of got out of the vibe and then back in, so it kind of made it feel a little weird. that's just my feelings on it. I still appreciate what they did by going out there and doing this, and still maintaining we're going to do our show. The show goes on the road, but we're not going to promote the spread of these virus. Now, I hope AEW follows suit, does something like this. I know they have some big shows coming up that I am looking forward to, and the UFC as well. I hope these things, I hope they take these seriously. And like I said, it's not a panic, it's precautions. Don't bring the people out. I mean, this is, if it was anybody else saying it besides the CDC and the World Health Organization and pretty much every medical doctor, I'd be like, all right, well, I mean, maybe it's not that bad. But what do I know? I'm not a doctor. But they are saying it. So I think it is important to kind of take yourself out of play, so that way people can remain safe. With that being said, we still have no word on WrestleMania. WrestleMania is in April. It's first weekend in April. I realize that WrestleMania is probably the biggest show of the year. And there is no turning back from that. It's a tough one, and it's going to be a loss. And when I say no turning back from that, I mean no turning back from saying it's probably the biggest sports show from the year. Like, I will stand by that, what I'm saying. Like, it is. Like, they have such huge numbers in the gatherings of everything that's going on. And these are it's like the biggest spotlight for these performers as well on this stage. And it's sad to see that it may have to be shut down, but like the city of Tampa, I don't even think wants to put it on because of everything that's happening. And I can't blame them. You can't have that many people from traveling. They can't travel from all over the world, so how many tickets does that take out of play? I don't know what the best course of action is. I would like to see it with the fans, cheering it on and things like that. I love to hear them. I would love to see these performers get their spotlight with the fans there to celebrate with them, because I know they love that. And then going to see them during the signings and things like that. So I really hope that it's postponed. I don't want it to be in an empty stage or anything like that, because I think that'll take away from the allure of what WrestleMania is supposed to be. Not for me, for the performers. I think they want that. And, maybe just this once, because this is a completely, in our lifetimes, completely different scenario than we've ever seen before. Something that wasn't even fathomable that, something like, yes, it was fathomable that something like this could happen, but it wasn't a firsthand. Like, swine flu wasn't like this. SARS wasn't like this. The Ebola outbreak wasn't like this. This is a huge global pandemic. So I hope that maybe they can postpone till later in the year sometime when things are kind of slowed down. So that way we can get the WrestleMania that the performers deserve. They can make their money. Either WWE can make its money on it, and everybody else gets to enjoy it, in that way too. Even with that, even if they have to make up a little extra money by postponing, I mean, I would be okay if they put WrestleMania on pay-per-view, for like this once or whatever. I don't know, whatever going forward, but for this, just to make some extra money on it, I'd be cool with that. And I'd pay it. It's WrestleMania. I mean, you pay, $60 and you get 7-8 hour show? But I'd hate to see it suffer by just trying to keep it the same weekend. Especially with every day, this thing seems to be getting bigger and bigger. And, it's a scary thing. So, it's just a precaution. We'll see what happens in the upcoming week or so, I think. We'll definitely have an answer by then. But like I said, I kind of hope that AEW follows suit with how they did it on SmackDown. Just to kind of keep people safe. I know they're moving. I think this Wednesday was supposed to be somewhere, I think maybe Pennsylvania. I don't 100% remember where they were supposed to be. But they're moving back to Jacksonville, and I think they are going to do the Blood and Guts episode of Dynamite the week after. Maybe in Jacksonville, I'm not sure, or another venue that's smaller. I don't think it's going to be in Newark anymore, Newark, New Jersey. So we'll see what happens. If we have to kind of hide out, then, and stay in our homes to stop the spread, then they gotta comply with this. That's just my feelings on it. Like, you've got to comply. there's no reason to stick to this and cause any more of a spread, because there are people who would just say screw it and go. And right now, that's not what we need. We need solidarity among all people to just step in and be like, all right, we'll do our part by trying to stop the spread. We'll work from home or whatever else we got to do. That's really what we need right now. And they're going to look to the big wrestling promotions to kind of lead them in that way, like these role models and such, to do this for the fans. So that's my feelings on it. Then again, like, just to see how much has changed last week between, you have Raw was normal Raw episode, normal at Full Sail NXT episode, the AEW is normal, and things were kind of looming, and then you get to Friday and it was like, nope, we got to switch this and it's going to be a completely empty thing. So unprecedented. I have not seen that before, and that's pretty crazy. But based on the CDC about large gatherings, things like that, I mean, they're even telling us for the next 8 weeks, don't even have like a wedding. Don't have big gatherings at all. 50 people or more. That's a lot to tell people. That's a lot. And it's hard in this country to kind of keep that down. But I really think that Tampa's going to step in. That's why I hope they postpone beforehand. Don't let people step in and take it away from you to the point where you don't have it anymore. Where you don't even have the venue. And what, are you going to hold WrestleMania at the Performance Center? I don't know. I just don't think it will work. Rob Gosher, who has been a guest on the show before, he's brought up the possibility if you do hold it at the Performance Center and you do it for all to watch, you still get the show, but maybe have anybody who's not wrestling that night go sit out in stands, or anybody who's like non-essential, not working at that time, go sit in the stands. I don't dislike that idea. I mean, it still puts people there, kind of gives you that, the feel of people out there and stuff like that. So I don't know, we'll see. This is so up in the air. It's a, like, again, it's precautions, not panic, but it's still a freaky affair. Like, no one knows what's going on fully. They're trying to button this thing up. It could get worse. It could hopefully get better, but it's trying times, and this is where people have to step up. And again, I know it doesn't really affect young people like that. I kind of want to put this out there. I know it doesn't really affect young people the same as it affects older or people with, health issues. But you could get it, not know it, and hand it off to people like that. And do you really want that? Do you really want that to happen? I mean, that's pretty crazy. People could die from this, and I don't want that to be. So, like, get your stuff. If you can stay home, stay home. If you have to only go to work, just go to work. Come home. Wash your hands. Bring wipes with you, like disinfectant wipes, stuff like that. Like, and for the fans who would really rage on and go to these wrestling events, maybe not. Maybe just steer clear. Like, because I like that WWE did it. But I will say the guys over at Wrestle Talk, it's pretty awesome. They're doing the same thing. They're holding a wrestling show. It's actually on tomorrow. I know for the East Coast, because it's over in the UK. The East Coast, I think it's on YouTube at 3 p.m. our time. I think like 7 p.m. their time. I'm not 100% sure of that. But I love those guys. I think they're funny. I like their channels. So I definitely support Wrestle Talk. And I'm definitely going to watch tomorrow their venue, because they put it out there and they said, like, these guys and girls, they don't get paid if they don't work, and they do need to work. So if they can do it in a venue where they can show it but not have the fans, but really put on the work, watch them and support. So make sure you check that out tomorrow, because I'm all about indie wrestling as well. And I don't want to see the smaller promotions, kind of get hurt by all of this, from doing business. Like, just like I don't want to see small businesses do the same, I want to see them get supported. And Wrestle Talk is doing awesome work supporting them. So I think we should, as well as wrestling fans, and go check it out. And, it's a Brit wrestling show. So make sure you're watching tomorrow wherever you are. So if it's like 7 o'clock their time in the UK. It's like 3 o'clock our time, I believe. Figure out what your time is and where you are and watch it. So, like I said, I will be. And I think it will be a lot of fun. So, that's really my show. There's not a lot in the way of wrestling. We did get Edge back on Raw. That was fun. We got Rob Gronkowski's coming out. He signed a deal. I wonder how that's going to work out because he signed a deal with WWE. Now, I know he's not going to be full-time or anything. And I know he's just going to be kind of with his buddy Mojo Rawley. But I also know he has a deal with Fox NFL Sunday. So is he still going to be commentating while also doing WWE? I mean, they're both on Fox, so I guess he could pull it off. But I really not quite sure where that goes. So I'm anxious to see what he does. He was part of the WrestleMania a few years back in the Andre Giant Battle Royal. So should be interesting. He helped with Braun Strowman. And I think Mojo won that year, if I'm correct. So we'll come out and we'll see what Rob does. Rob Gronkowski. I'm not a Patriots fan, but I don't hate the Patriots because I'm a Giants fan. And we really don't have any reason to hate the Patriots. Tom Brady, I think, is a little too beautiful of a human being to hate. But, maybe cut out the cheating a little bit. But Rob Gronkowski seems like a really cool dude. Somebody you want to have a beer with and just hang out and talk. So I'm excited to see him come on to wrestling and see what he does. I always liked when they bring the celebrities out because it elevates wrestling. And it's pretty cool. So with that, make sure you check out Wrestle Talk tomorrow. Go support them. They know all. I get a lot of my news from them. Wrestling Observer, things like that. So PW Insider. So make sure you guys are checking it out. Again, if you like the show, give us a like and subscribe either on the podcast platforms or that you're listening on, or if you're watching on the YouTube channel, or all. Just go around, hit those like and subscribe buttons. Give us those follows. Hit those notification buttons because we have stuff every day and a lot of fun stuff. We got 2 new shows right now. Pulling Focus Podcast, which is our filmmaking podcast. Mine with Brian Patrick from the Skyline Indie Film Festival, which is also granting waivers to anybody who has a film from anybody who has a film that was in South by Southwest, and unfortunately, since that's been canceled and fell through, go to trueindies.com, trueindiefilms.com. They have a whole list of film festivals that are doing granting waivers to those filmmakers. But Skyline Indie Film Festival is, so try and bring your movie here to Virginia. Love to see it. That being said, again, if you're in the area of Winchester, Virginia, or just even on the outskirts, go check out the Hideaway Cafe. They'll be open up in about a week or so, permitting whatever happens with the outbreak. Lots of small businesses along that walking mall that would be great for you to visit. We are a proud sponsor of the Lost Weekend 13 Film Festival, which has taken at the Alamo Draft House in Winchester, Virginia. Starts March 19th. It was originally a 4-day affair, but because of everything that's going on, it's going to run through April 26th, which is awesome. We have a chance to go see all the movies. Buy your weekend pass because $40 for 44 movies over the course of a month is amazing. So much going on with us. Make sure you go and follow us and stuff like that for updates, especially in wrestling. I do a lot of requests of old wrestling shows to review those. So make sure you're following us at The Scene Snob on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're all over there and we answer everything. So until next time, I am The Scene Snob, Mick Manhattan, your host as always for the 20-Minute Wrestling Podcast. Hope you liked it. Come check it out. We're going to start having some interviews soon, have some more guests on soon, just to talk wrestling and have a good time with it. So stay tuned. Again, go over tomorrow and check out and support Wrestle Talk and their show that they have going on. And until next time, take care. You guys are awesome. And goodbye from Randy.